Hey guys, it's Liv here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing our first tournament game for the BBR against my opponent, Quaza. I'm your coach, of course, of the Wagamama Highway Way Quazas, which I'm going to post the logo for up here. Shout out to Grant, he did all the rebrand stuff, and he killed it on this logo as well. I forgot to show that off in the short that we did last week, actually, which if you haven't seen that, that does our full team breakdown. But I'll post the matchup on screen also like right here while I'm going over this. If you enjoy it and you want to see more content like this, leave a like and subscribe. And with that said, let's get into the matchup. I will say for next week, we're going to have actual matchup slides done. I forgot to hotkey these though. It's going to be something I'm going to do on Tuesday before our next vid goes up though. But I just forgot to do it and I realized way too late in terms of editing this, so we don't have them ready for this one. But looking at my opponent's team though, a couple things that I did notice in this matchup. For one, my opponent is insanely weak to Lycanroc Dusk. Basically, this is probably going to be my win con this week if I had to guess. With the choice band set or even like a life orb set or really just any sort of offensive build for this, it should be able to completely decimate my opponent because their only switch-ins to rock are Great Tusk if it's Fizz Def, which even that has its own issues, which I'll get into in a bit, and then Scizor if it burns a Terastal here, which I think it's actually the worst Terastal option between that and Mismagius. I'm kind of anticipating the top 4 Mons plus 2 of Gardevoir, Vaporeon, Mismagius, Raptor, or Ditto. Dragalge wouldn't be terrible if they went with the Trick Room route. However, I don't really know if they're going to pull off Trick Room against my team. Though I will say Trick Room with like a Room Service Great Tusk and Dragalge in general could actually be kind of terrifying here. Especially with the build that I did go with, but I don't think it's very likely as all. Mismagius I do think will be the Terastal option of choice though. I think it's just like a plot Subsalic set with like Subsalic, Terra Blast, and like subplot Terra Blast and Shadow Ball with like a Salic Berry would be pretty terrifying against me, but I'm not really sure if it's likely again, even though I think it would be really good here. Overall though, that's my thoughts on what will end up coming. Let's get into my team. First up, we do have a Choice Band Lycanroc Dusk with the Stone Edge Close Combat, Psychic Fangs, and a Accelerock. This spread is designed so then we're able to outpace Timid Mismagius. It's really no reason actually not to. This isn't really a bulky Pokemon, so we don't need to try and be aggressive with our creep. We could just creep the fastest thing below us. With Stone Edge, we're able to hit everything besides Great Tusk. We have Psychic Fangs with Tough Claws, which should be a really good option to pressure Great Tusk, which is the rock type switch in here. And my opponent's Psychic switch-ins are really just Meowscarada, which risks Close Combat, Stone Edge, and Accelerock, and then like Scizor, which risks Close Combat, or even Stone Edge if it's pre-Terastal, since Scizor again needs to burn a Terastal to be a rock type switch in here, which is really good for us. Overall though, this is going to be an amazing breaker and probably even a potentially really good cleaner here, but I'm probably going to end up using it as a breaker early on to try and hopefully wear down my opponent's team into range for something like our next Pokemon, Roaring Moon. We have the Booster Energy set. Now, we do have to go with Terastal Flying here, but I think this set should ultimately be really good. I forgot to mention this in the intro, but shoutouts to Josh, the Ultra player. He helped a lot with the EV spreads. I did bounce a couple ideas off of him, such as maybe the Booster Energy Roaring Moon, but he, in the end, did a lot of the investments here. With this set in particular, it's meant to outpace Modest Mismagius, so it's a really aggressive creep, but to be fair, with Terastal Flying, we don't really need to be anything else. The reason probably for Modest Mismagius is because it's like 1 point faster than Pikachu, which is the faster of the 2 electric types in this team, so it makes a lot of sense. With Crunch plus Acrobatics, we're able to honestly destroy this team considering the only flying switch-ins end up getting completely decimated by Crunch. With Taunt, we're great at stopping things like Will-O-Wisp Rotom Heat for Roaring Moon, as well as any sort of setup options that could otherwise try and take advantage of us. And then with Roost, we're able to just stay really healthy. We have a really bulky set on this in general with 164 HP, 20 Fizz Def, and 4 Spadef. I'm sure Josh will probably comment something when he watches back the game. If he doesn't, I can just ask him and pin the comment, but regardless, I'll put something down here for Roaring Moon Defensive Calcs, I guess, if he even remembers, because I'm recording this builder very late. But regardless, I was meant to just take on different threats like Scizor, etc. Just a lot of the general offensive pieces here. Up next, we have Klefki with the Citrus Berry. We have Thunderwave, Thief, Spikes, and Dazzling Gleam. With Thunderwave, it's just meant to be speed control against stuff like, for example, Scarf Raptor, which I think is probably going to end up coming this game. I think Scarf Raptor in general is very good here. Same as stuff like Gardevoir, for example. Again, another really good Scarf option here that we can just Thunderwave. With Thief, it's really just designed to take whatever item from the Pokemon in front of us once we do pop a Citrus Berry, which should be very valuable. We're a decent Spadef option, which should be great at switching into stuff like Gardevoir, which otherwise does a lot of damage to our team offensively, so this should be fairly valuable for that if nothing else. Up next, we do have Braviary with the Choice Scarf. This is a really good offensive piece here because my opponent switches to Flying and Fighting, do not exist. With U-turn, we're able to keep up really good momentum, and Body Slam is really just here because it happens to be our best normal type move. Pretty simple set, really just meant to be a really good Scarf option to tie Gardevoir. Up next, we have Gastrodon with Stealth Rock, Recover, Earthquake, and Earth Power, and Ice Beam. Just meant to be a really good Phys Def wall. It's a nice check to stuff like Scizor, Great Tusk, while also being an amazing Vaporeon switch-in, as it did lose Toxic, which really would have been the only way that it could have actually pressured us. We could basically use Storm Drain as an immunity and try and just stay as healthy as possible overall, because whenever Vaporeon comes in, it's just a free recover turn for us. So yeah, I mean, again, really just meant to be a really good wall for stuff like Scizor. Rotom Heat as well, this is an amazing sponge for it. And despite the fact that we can't touch Rotom Heat, it's honestly fine because Rotom Heat can't touch us either, and it's free rocks. The final one on this team is Assault Vest Iron Hands, which is designed to be a really good sponge for stuff like Vaporeon, Mismagius potentially even, and we can fire off hits like Thunder Punch, Fire Punch, and Drain Punch, which should be overall really good here. With Earthquake, it's really just designed to catch stuff like the Pikachu, I guess, as well as Dragalge, and potentially even Scizor after Terastal, where we could just do insane damage, though, to be fair, we'd probably just Drain Punch Scizor. Overall, though, that's going to be our team for this week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and let's get right into the match. Peace out, guys. Hey guys, it's Liv here, and in today's video, we're taking on Shayquaza for our first game of the BBR Battle Tournament. With this team, Shay had 11 Pokemon, of course, and the 6 he ended up bringing are Meowscarada, Scizor, Gardevoir, Great Tusk, Rotom Heat, and Vaporeon. So this is good to note, actually. So this means that he did not bring Staraptor, he did not bring Ditto, which Ditto is really good for the fact that that Mon didn't come. No Dragalge, Pikachu, or Mismagius. So that means the Terramon here has to be Scizor, or Shay just didn't bring one at all, which is good information, of course. On top of this as well, the switch-ins to Lycanroc, it's really just the Great Tusk here and maybe Vaporeon at best. As far as my lead goes, I kind of want to lead around probably Gastrodon. I think Gastrodon's a pretty decent lead here. If the Meowscarada leads, I'm probably just going to go hard into Klefki, even if the U-turn is pretty inevitable, because my opponent U-turning around Klefki isn't too bad, since all of the switch-ins to Klefki would probably get mauled by Gastrodon. So these two do form a really strong defensive core for me, if nothing else. Shoutouts to Josh aka Ultra Player for the help on the team this week, and with that said, looks like the battle is starting, so honestly, perfect timing, because I was just about to say, I'm going to pause the video and we'll come right back, because timing works out well. But regardless, yeah, good luck or fun to my opponent. So, as far as the lead goes, I am anticipating that one of Rotom, Great Tusk, or Meowscarada will lead. I'm kind of hoping it's Rotom. We're going to see per Shifu, this is the Meowscarada. Okay, a little unfortunate, but you know what? That's honestly fine. I definitely cannot stay in because this is most likely Protean and it most likely has Flower Trick. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to proceed to go into Klefki here. I think this is my best switch in overall to this Pokemon, and we can utilize this to get some really strong damage calcs, if nothing else, against my opponent. So we're going to go into Klefki, and I'm going to figure out just how offensive this Mon actually is. So we're going to see Flower Trick goes off. That's fine. And let's see. So how much does this Pokemon do? Okay, so this does around like 50. I know that this is a crit, obviously, but that's on not too big of a deal. Let's see. Does Flower Trick account for the crit chance? It does account for the crit chance. Okay, just had to make sure. So this did, let's see, I'm doing math here, sorry. This did around 45, so honestly, this just looks like it's Scarf or Boots, which is good for us at the very least. We can figure out if this is Scarf right now. I think that I'm definitely going to click the spikes here. My opponent has no immunity to this outside of maybe Rotom Heat, and I do anticipate that Rotom's going to come in on us anyway. They're going to hard switch out here, which is interesting at the very least, though I guess to be fair, they're no longer a Dark type, so maybe that's why. They're going to bring in Rotom Heat though. And this Mon, at the very least, Rotom did lose Defog this gen, which is pretty big for us. So I'm going to at least keep the spike up guaranteed until Scizor or Great Tusk come in, which both of them would need to obviously take hazards. We're going to go into Gastrodon here. Gastrodon can probably just click Earth Power at this point because most likely Rotom Heat's not staying in, and everything else should take a good amount, even the Meowscarada. Or I could also click Ice Beam. My opponent's actually going to proceed to go for a trick here. This is still perfectly fine. I don't overly mind losing my item here. And we're going to see the Rotom actually has a ring target. Okay, good to know. So my opponent's probably just aiming to click Thunderbolt here. Now, out of curiosity, how much does Gastrodon take from this set? Rotom Heat with a Thunderbolt. I'm very curious, actually. So my opponent is going to proceed to do... Actually, hold on. Let me throw a ring target on. Because this is... Okay. God damn it, I can't actually emulate the ring target here. Let me go for a, I'm pretty sure it's just a neutral attack. Thunderbolt. Okay, we should still take this even if it is an offensive set. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to proceed to go for the Stealth Rock here. Stealth Rock should be really decent if nothing else. My opponent does get a free Volt Switch here. They're going to proceed to do around half with this. Good information. So they have Trick and they have Volt Switch. This is fine. Gastrodon should still be not terrible here. I can recover up still on Vaporeon pretty easily. In fact, I'm a really good Vaporeon switching regardless. So I think I'm still going to use this Pokemon mostly at checking Vaporeon at the very least. However, the roll against checking Rotom here is kind of useless. We do still have some offensive options that should hopefully pressure this though. Gardevoir is going to come out. Okay, good to know. I love the nickname, by the way. They're going to take some decent damage from these spikes, of course. And not only this, but we should get off some nice Stealth Rocks here too. So it's even more hazards that my opponent now has to worry about. The Gardevoir coming in is pretty decent for me. They're obviously going to be a nice water resistance, but I can go right into Klefki and I don't really mind at all. Thankfully, I believe Gardevoir did lose Mystical Fire, so that's something that's really in our benefit at this point. They're going to hard switch out here from Gardevoir, which is good to note. They probably wanted the water immunity, and they're going to go into Gonfan, which is the Great Tusk here. Good to know. Okay, so they're still taking some good hazard damage if nothing else. I get that obviously they're going to Rapid Spin it away, but I don't overly mind this. What I can proceed to do from here, I'm going to actually go for a Dazzling Gleam. Because my goal here is to just try and pressure the Great Tusk, which is most likely going to be clicking the... It's probably going to click Rapid Spin this turn, thinking I'll swap. And what I could do, I can go for the Dazzling Gleam at this point, and then I can let Klefki go down by getting up a Spike at this point and bring in something... Well, actually, do I want to? I don't know if I can actually make that work. Their Life Orb on this Pokemon, good to note. So they're going to take a good amount of damage from this. They're actually nearly dead. Okay, so this is really good for us. I think that I'm going to proceed to go into... I kind of want to go into Braviary here. I'm really anticipating my opponent will click some sort of... I think they're going to click some sort of... I don't know. I can't actually let this one go down. I'm going to go into... I'm going to go for the spikes here. I'm going to let Klefki trade with this, truthfully. I can still take out Gardevoir with my Scarf on my Braviary, so I'm not too concerned with Gardevoir specifically. And my opponent doesn't have a great switch into this mon either. They're going to go for close combat here. I'm fine trading Klefki because I guarantee the hazard's up now, unless if they also have Rapid Spin on the Great Tusk. So I'll take this. So we have, at the very least, a 5-5 game at this point. And honestly, I'm thinking that I'm going to probably go into Braviary here, because I think Braviary is probably my best bet. We know Rotom's not Scarfed. Meowscarada might be Scarfed, truthfully, but I'm okay with taking a Scarf hit from this. Vaporeon, Gardevoir, and Scizor, I can just pivot against all of them, or even just click Brave Bird, because my opponent's switching is literally just Rotom Heat. So I will take that. I think that at this point, my win con is definitely the Roaring Moon. I think it's still a really good win con here. My opponent's going to bring in the Scizor. I'm curious about how much damage a Banded Scizor would do here. So let me check real quick. Braviary versus Scizor. Bullet Punch does a good amount of damage here. I think that I'm honestly probably fine just clicking Brave Bird. If my opponent's Life Orb, we could figure this out, obviously. And not only this, but I do still have Gastrodon, which can switch in on this later on. I just want to verify what item this is, really, because it would help with counterplay later on. My opponent's also Terrestrial Seal, which is something we do need to keep in mind. However, my opponent also knows that I know this, and Braviary getting close combat. It's a risk that this Pokemon does have to take here. They're going to proceed to go for not Bullet Punch, at least. They're actually going to click U-Turn here, which is really good for us. My opponent's going to have to take these spikes here, and thankfully, because of the fact we clicked Brave Bird, we got off significantly more damage, and this Scizor is basically fodder. So, thankfully, my opponent did not Terrestrial yet. I had assumed they were going to save it towards a very late game option, or maybe just click Bullet Punch, or even Sword Dance this turn, but I'll take this regardless. It could have, to be fair, ended in a KO, I guess, but we also would have done a lot less damage if we clicked Close Combat, and it didn't work in our favor. They're going to go into Meowscarada here. I'm going to assume this means it is Choice Scarf, or that they're clicking Sucker Punch at this point, which I'm pretty fine with. I'm going to... Let's see. So I guess if they are... Let's see. So if they're Scarfed, then I'm always going to lose this Pokemon. They could also just be some sort of boot set and click Sucker Punch here. I think that it's in my best interest, actually, to figure this out, because... What I can do, I can potentially go for Terrestrial Flying on Roaring Moon and check this actually afterwards. So I think that's what I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for the Brave Bird, and I want to figure out what item this is. They're going to go for Thunder Punch, and they are a Choice Scarf set. This is good to note. So I will take this. I'm fine with this trade because it basically just enables a really free Roaring Moon setup turn. Well, not a setup turn, but it definitely enables a really free Roaring Moon attack. Or actually, I can go into Iron Hands because my opponent doesn't have a great switch to this. Let's see. So I'm trying to think. So looking at this, I feel like that Iron Hands is my play here. My opponent's best switch into Drain Punch would be Gardevoir. I could potentially click Fire Punch, which would have a... No, it'd probably... Honestly, I think in my switch in... Yeah, it's definitely going to be the Iron Hands. I could go into Gastrodon, to be fair, and get up Hazards. However, I think that ultimately I would win it. I'm ring target anyway, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm going to click the... So looking at my opponent's team, they're basically either predicting around a Fighting check or an Electric check, and that's pretty bad for them. They're probably going to switch... Honestly, they're probably going to go into Gardevoir, or maybe sack the Scizor. I'm going to go for Thunder Punch here. I think Thunder Punch is probably my best play. It's really their only Fighting check, and if they go Rotom, so be it, or Assault Vest, and if they click Will-O-Wisp, I don't entirely mind. They're going to go into Rotom, okay. So they're going to still have to take the Thunder Punch at the very least. And we know that they're not Boots, thankfully, which is good information for us. They are Leftovers, of course, which is information we already knew, to be fair, but still important to note. Okay. So Iron Hands versus Rotom Heat. I'm curious about what this Rotom Heat will actually take from a Drain Punch, because we are Assault Vest. I believe we have like 108 Adamant on this set, so I do need to keep that in mind when calculating for Drain Punch. So we don't do enough. We definitely don't do enough, especially after how little that Thunder Punch did. I'm going to... Honestly, I should take this hit pretty well, to be fair. And the Drain Punch will be some really nice recovery. If they're going to go for... They're actually going to go for Reflect. Okay. I'll say if they're going to go for Will-O-Wisp, that's fine. We basically confirm their set. Okay. So we know they have Reflect, Volt Switch, and Trick on their moveset. This is good for us, actually, because we could basically kind of narrow down if they're going to have 4th move Will-O-Wisp, 4th move Fire move, or 4th move Light Screen. And all of these will determine how I'm going to potentially play the endgame out. From here, what I think I'm going to proceed to do, I'm going to proceed to click the Thunder Punch, because I think that my opponent's only offensive move is going to be Volt Switch here. If they have Will-O-Wisp in tandem with this, so be it. But I don't overly mind figuring this information out. They're going to proceed to go for the Volt Switch, which does no damage. And they're probably going to go into Gardevoir, if I had to guess. Which Gardevoir should take a good amount from the Thunder Punch, thankfully. If they go into Meowscarada, that's fine. I can figure out what move it's going to lock into, and I can play around it accordingly. They're going to go into Gardevoir here. Okay, so this is going to take a good amount from Thunder Punch, as well as obviously it's going to take damage from Spikes. And I can hopefully figure out how offensive or defensive this is. They're going to take around half from this Thunder Punch. They get the Paralyze. Ooh, that's unfortunate. I'm curious how much Gardevoir takes from this. So I'm also curious of their Dual Scarf. So with Thunder Punch, with the Reflect Up, they don't seem very offensive, actually. Very defensive at all. Okay, good to note. Good to note. So I think it's in my best interest here. We are Assault Vest, so this means we should chew any hit this wants to go for. I'm actually just going to click Thunder Punch again. I think we'll even outpace potentially. Ooh, full para. Pretty lucky for us, I will say, but I'll take it. So let's see. So my opponent's definitely going to try and go for this attack here. I'm going to go for the Drain Punch, just gain back a little bit of health here. If my opponent switches around this, so be it. That's better for us. They're going to proceed to click Moonblast, and it does not do enough. It doesn't even do close to enough, actually. And the special attack drop clearly does not matter. So I will definitely take this. My opponent's best switch into this now, I'm not actually sure what they do around this Pokemon, truthfully. That paralysis was pretty huge for me, I can't lie. But you know what? I'll take it. I'll definitely take it. My opponent, if they don't have Will-O-Wisp on Rotom, is probably going to go into Meowscarada and try and take me out with like a Play Off or something, which I can actually most likely... Well, no, I don't want to let Gastrodon go down. Roaring Moon's my win con. I could probably actually let this go down, truthfully, because my opponent doesn't have a good switch into Lycanroc anymore, looking at their team. In fact, yeah, Lycanroc actually has like no good switch into this matchup. Hold on, that might be my play, because I can let Iron Hands go down. If Meowscarada specifically comes in, I'm going to probably... They're going to go into Pershifu's. This is the Meowscarada. Okay. So, my opponent's probably going to go for Play Off here. I think it's pretty obvious. I'm going to probably just let Iron Hands go down. If they're not going to click Play Off, I'm going to click Drain Punch to try and take advantage of this. They have Flower Trick and Thunder Punch confirmed. And I know that I mentioned that my opponent's probably going to click Play Off, but I'm clicking Thunder Punch here. They're actually going to go for Flower Trick. That's fine as well. I purely just did this to try and gain back a little bit of HP should Iron Hands take the hit well. We do seem to take this hit pretty well, thankfully. And we're going to put this thing in range of a Cell Rock for sure. I'm sure this KO's even through screen. And we're actually going to... We might take another one? We might actually take another hit. Without Reflect, okay, so this is definitely going to get massacred now. And my opponent's switch-ins to this have become only fewer and far between. Okay, so Meowscarada is going to take this out. So... in terms of my play here, I'm actually going to go into Roaring Moon. I know I said that I was going to go for the... Lycanroc here, but I want to save this to clean, actually. And realistically, I can actually pop Booster Energy at this point, and I can start going for a really strong sweep. My opponent's going to have to take on this Adamant Roaring Moon, which is going to massacre their team. I'm going to probably pop the Terra Flying, truthfully, just to boost my Acrobatics damage. Though at the same time, I don't know if I need to. I think I'm going to, ultimately. My typing, I think, will be... Actually, no, I'm not going to pop it just yet. Acrobatics should still do plenty, truthfully, and my typing, I think, will be slightly more beneficial at the current moment, depending on what my opponent does here. They're going to proceed to go into Hollister. This is probably the Vaporeon. This is the Vaporeon. Okay, perfect. So they're going to take Spikes damage. They're going to have to take the Acrobatics as well. And I think I'm just going to go for the Terastal here. The Terastal should be really strong in terms of breaking through this Vaporeon at this point. They're not actually going to take this hit anymore. And with the Adamant nature, I should be able to smash. This already took almost half before the Terastal anyway. And even if this Pokemon has Protect, I can't see it taking this hit. Rotom Heat will be a little bit better against us, but truthfully, I don't care. I'm actually going to let Gastrodon go down, and we'll claim another free KO with the Banded Lycanroc. So I'll honestly take that. Or honestly, I could even just probably go for Roaring Moon. We're fairly bulky, and we have Roost. And despite my opponent, of course, having the option with Volt Switch, I don't think they have a better option for us. Also, Roaring Moon is fairly bulky, so I'll definitely take this. We know as well this is not an offensive Rotom. It's at best a fairly defensive set. So this Terra Flying I don't think will do enough. We're going to proceed to go for the Taunt here, I think. If my opponent... I don't know. So I could go for Crunch. I think I'm going to go for Taunt, though, because I think Taunt will benefit me more in the long term. And I can Roost around this also and lose my weakness, which will be great. They're probably going to click Reflect this turn, which I'm fine with. And I think I'm just going to outright Roost the following turn, specifically to avoid... Well, hold on. Did I take damage? I don't think I took damage yet, so I don't know if I can do this. They're going to go for Leftovers Recovery, of course. I did not take damage. Okay, I have to click Crunch. Crunch should still basically claim a KO here, so I'm not actually too concerned with this. And they get a slow pivot, which I'm fine with. They're going to Volt Switch out. They don't even do half, actually, which is amazing for us. And they're going to proceed to go probably into Meowscarada, in all honesty, which I'm pretty okay with. If they go into Scizor, so be it. If they go into Meowscarada, so be it. I think either way, I'm going to go into Gastrodon, because Gastrodon has served its purpose this game. Plus, Lycanroc actually should be in a position where I just click the Accelerock button a few times, and I think I just win. Because my opponent failed to get up that light screen there, and their team is all below half. Scizor basically dies to Spikes plus Accelerock. Meowscarada just dies to Accelerock unless it's Scarf Sucker Punch, which in that case, I think it still doesn't actually do enough damage. And Rotom should just die to Accelerock. So I think I'm honestly in a pretty good position here to win. It's really just going to depend on how my opponent plays this next turn. So, yep, they're going to bring in the Scizor here. Okay. I think I'm going to go for the... Roost here, actually, just in the off chance. Because Roaring Moon could still be useful. And I think that they're going to probably go for Bullet Punch here and just try and get as much damage off as possible. Even if I lose this Pokemon, though, I'm still set with Lycanroc. Because I always outpace, and I should always take this Mon out. I can't see a world where Scizor actually takes the Banded Accelerock at this point, because of the fact that my opponent failed to get up that attack. Plus, I'm fairly certain that we... Okay, so we do die. That's fine. They should not actually take this hit at all, though. So, as far as Scizor goes, yeah, we're just gonna click Accelerock. Accelerock is 100% accurate. Despite the Terastal Steel here, we should still be in a good position to take out the Scizor. So we're gonna click Accelerock. If this somehow takes the hit, good play by Shay, but nope, it does not. Okay. So we have just the Meowscarada and the Rotom left. This should massacre both. The Meowscarada is at around 30% after coming in on Spikes, and the Rotom it's basically fodder. It always was basically fodder. Pershifu is going to come in. This is perfectly fine. It's going to take way too much from this Accelerock. I don't know why I struggled to say that word so much, but Accelerock should massacre this, and I think we're gonna claim the win here. So, yeah, Rotom does not take this hit. I'm just going to mark down prematurely that Rotom Heat died to Cellrock. And good game to Shay. Good game to Shay. I don't usually like calling good game early, but like we're betted Lycanroc and my opponents are fucking Rotom Heat. There's no way that they win this at this point. We're priority. They have no way around that. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this battle. And if you did, leave a like and subscribe for more content. I don't know who we're taking on week 2 of the tournament, but we're starting off 1-0 plus 2, which is amazing for us, in my opinion. Going into week 2, we're going to be taking on the Graveyard. That's Jesse 504. So we actually took on Jesse earlier in the gen. And funny enough, his mascot for this team for the tournament is the Houndstone. Or actually, it's a Griever, to be fair. And funny enough, our first win of the gen was with Houndstone against him. So it's pretty fitting that we play in week 2. Hopefully we can get another good game against Jesse. He's an amazing battler. We'll see you guys then. Shout out to our channel members, of course, being Josh, Get Ultra Player, Mia, Zeke Zero, Matt O'Shea, and Nox Caliber. What up? Oh my god, a Nox Turtle. I don't know why I was thinking Nox Caliber. I saw Bex Caliber on my side monitor. But hopefully you guys enjoy. Thank you so much to the channel members. If you want to become a channel member today, link to that down below, as well as Twitter and Discord for updates on future content. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, peace out, guys.